Welcome guys, episode 7 of the CTR PODCAST. Happy weekend, happy Sunday. I hope you had a good one. This week has been a long ass week for me, but we're at the end now and I'm happy to get it out of the way. But today, I have been looking forward to this. This is the one thing that's got me through the week, like one of the things that have got me through the week. So on Monday, I started by asking the community to put together their top 5 list for hip-hop albums of the 90s, and then I asked them to send it me. And then I would compile it all, and then I'd come back to you with the community's decision of what is the best hip-hop album of the 90s. Just a little peek behind the curtain, how I put this list together. As I say, I got everybody to send me their top 5. I told them to put it in order, just so if something happened, I could make a decision on what album went in front of the other. So, for example, let's say if album A was mentioned at their number 3, more often than album B was mentioned at their number 4. Album A would go higher on the list because it be mentioned higher in their individual lists, if you know what I mean. So basically, what I did then was add them all up and put them in the top 5. Simple, right? No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all, because people, oh god, there was so many albums that I felt so bad of leaving out the top 5. At first I was tempted to put it in a top 10 just because of the albums that I was missing out. It was pretty crazy, and I was quite surprised at the end result. So stick around for number 2 and number 1. But what I've also done is I've put together my top 10 favorite albums of the 90s. I've made mine a top 10 list just because, you know, it's a personal list, so I feel like it can be more detailed. If I've missed any off of my top 10, or if I've missed any albums and people are like, oh, you forgot about blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah, that was gonna be like my number 3. But I think I've done a good job. I've looked at it all week, and I finally put together about 20 minutes ago a list that I'm pretty pleased with. So without further ado, starting off, I want to say a couple of honourable mentions that didn't make it into the community top 5. A couple of ones that I was pretty surprised about, and then a couple of ones where I was like, oh damn, I really wanted that to go into the community top 5, but I couldn't be biased and I didn't cheat, I promise. So America's Most Wanted, Ice Cube, did not make it into the community top 5, so condolences to Ice Cube. Also, Death Certificate by Ice Cube didn't make it into the top 5. That was also mentioned. 1999 was an album that was also mentioned by Naughty by Nature. Did not make it into the top 5, but it received a mention, so fair enough. We also had Mama Said Knock You Out by LL Cool J was mentioned. Shout out to LL Cool J for getting a mention. I mean, there's nothing wrong with LL Cool J, but to get mentioned in, you know, a list of albums with all these, I want to give a big shout out. I also want to give a big shout out to everyone who took part in this list, and I was pretty proud of the community for coming together. I've received a lot of lists, and I've received a lot of mentions in comments, in private messages, everything really, everything. Because I was really pleased to put this list together for you guys. And without further ado, I'm going to get into the top 5. Number 5, just scraping into the top 5, by the way. All those honourable mentions were really close to getting into this top 5. And this is the one that got in. And I'm really surprised it's number 5. If I'm being quite honest, I thought this would be fighting for the number 1 spot. And that I'm not exaggerating on that. Just because the amount of, like, love I see for this guy, and the amount of love I see for his music, I was so surprised that this was only number 5, and it is Ready to Die by Biggie. Notorious B.I.G. coming in at number 5 with Ready to Die. Correct me if I'm wrong, this was the only album Biggie released while he was alive, because I think Life After Death came out after he died, like shortly after he died. I remember seeing an interview where he was recording the video for Hypnotize, and he was saying, you know, how good the album was going to be. And then I believe like a couple of weeks later he died. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I do believe Ready to Die is the only album that is not a posthumous album by Biggie Smalls. But as I say, this is an album that I was really surprised that was only number 5. Like, honestly, it only received, and this is really surprising, it only received like 6 votes. And that's crazy to me. And it's a similar situation with number 4. But as far as Ready to Die go, my 2 favourite songs on that is probably Juicy, obviously, and Big Poppa. I'm not the biggest fan of Biggie. I mean, I appreciate, you know, what he contributed to the hip hop community, and I do recognise him as a GOAT, like 100%. But for me, he's not even in my top 10 album list. For example, Ready to Die isn't in my top 10. And a lot of people ask me, how can you be such a massive hip hop fan and not like Biggie? You're wrong. I do like Biggie. I just think Biggie isn't the greatest I've ever heard. I think people sort of dick ride Biggie, and that's just my opinion. I mean, as I say, he's fantastic and his wordplay is phenomenal, but he's just not for me. He's not for me. And I do want to start interviewing people on their favourite artists and their favourite albums. Just because... Sorry, did you hear that voice crack then? Just because I was looking at the album, and I am familiar with Ready to Die, and I feel like people who are more massive fans of Biggie Smalls would know the album better than me and would want to talk about it more than me. And I want to sort of bring it up as like maybe a segment for, the intro. The intro videos, I believe, which by the way are only happening once every 2 weeks now, because I kind of want to make it more of a big deal. And I want to add things like this to it. Like interviewing people on their favourite albums, etc. I feel like that would be a really good idea. So let me know what you guys think about that. But coming in at number 4, we have Tupac Shakur with All Eyes on Me, released in 1996. This was the project he released before he passed away with Death Row Records. And the rumour behind this was he came out of jail, and obviously, they paid his bail, and he went into the booth and he recorded and wrote about 20 songs in like an hour. He just wrote them. Like, absolutely phenomenal work there by Tupac. Fair play to him. This is another guy for me who... a bit like Biggie, where like I'm not the biggest fan of him, and I appreciate what he did for the community, and I appreciate how important he is to hip hop. But as I say, he's also not in my top 10. A bit of a spoiler alert there. I do want to give a shout out to All Eyes on Me though. It's between this and Tupacalypse, maybe. I mean, Me Against the World is a really good album, to be fair. But All Eyes on Me and Tupacalypse are my two favorite Shakur albums. But this is another one where I thought this is only number 4 on the list, and this received 9 votes, I believe it was 9 votes without looking at my notes. It was probably more or less that. But yeah, number 4 on the list. Like I was pretty surprised, mainly because, as I say, like Tupac is another one of those guys who you see get mentioned tons and tons and tons of times in the hip hop community, and the amount of people who rate him as the greatest of all time really surprised me that they didn't mention him more in their lists. I mean, I was like, because I'm looking at number 3 and number 2, and don't get me wrong, they are well deserving of their spots, but it baffles me. It baffles me that them 2 albums went in the top 1 or 2. Sorry about that, guys. I have to clear my throat. But yeah. But fair play to you guys. I mean, don't get me wrong. I agree with these top 3. I think these top 3 are really good choices, and I was totally surprised and blown away by the response that you guys gave me. But coming in at number 3, we have Enter the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers. Now this for me, from 3 to 1 is entering God tier. As I say, Ready to Die and All Eyes on Me, fair play to them albums. But this for me is entering God tier albums, 100%. This shit is amazing. Enter the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers, possibly one of the most influential hip hop albums of my life, just because the amount of people that have come out of this group, the Wu-Tang Clan, and made their own projects, and the impact that they've made individually to the community of hip hop. But this album, this debut album, absolutely fantastic. Like, coming in at number 3, I think it's like a perfect spot. I think looking at this list and where it's ranked, perfect for me. 1993 it was released, by the way, because not only for me does it represent my feelings towards this list and your guys' feelings towards this list, I feel like it's in a perfect spot. It's right in the middle. It outmatches 2 big hitters at 5 and 4, which I never thought that would happen. But maybe there's more love for the Wu-Tang in this community than I thought they were going to be. 100%. The amount of songs that are on this album that I could mention, there's just so many. Like Cream, for example. Cream is probably one of my favourite Wu-Tang Clan songs. Here Comes the Ruckus. Sorry, Bring the Ruckus, not Here Comes the Ruckus. I was looking. I've got like a massive like CD collection in front of me. I'm looking at it now, like where my microphone is positioned, where I'm literally staring at my stereo, and if I look to the left, there's a couple of albums here, and well, I was talking about Wu-Tang Clan, and I looked at an album, and yeah, I just put the two names together basically. But Bring the Ruckus is what I meant to say. Protect Your Neck. Did I already say that? The Mystery of Chess Boxing. God, there's just so many. There's so many. Method Man, as in the song Method Man, about Method Man, if that makes sense, is on this album. Really good song. Oh, absolutely fantastic. But yeah, well done to the Wu-Tang Clan for beating out Biggie and Tupac on this list. Fair enough. I am proud of you guys as a community. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for bringing me that pleasure of putting Wu-Tang Clan above Biggie and Tupac. Thanks very much for that. Coming in at number 2, and this for me was the dark horse of this whole putting together this list, because I was receiving lists left and right of people. Like, I was looking up and down these lists, and in every single pretty much list, this was mentioned, and it doesn't surprise me, but at the same time, it does surprise me at the amount of love that was given, not just to, this album, but to the group. And we're talking about The Infamous by Mobb Deep is number 2 on the community list. Fantastic. I am so proud of you guys. So proud of you guys. Brings a tear to my eye to see Mobb Deep at number 2 in the top albums of all time on the CTR chart list. Fair play, like 100%, like ultra mega respect for you guys. If I had a soundboard in front of me, believe right now I would be, pressing that applause button. But I don't have my soundboard at the minute. I turned off my phone because I was getting a lot of chatter on there, and I didn't want to, get distracted. Even though I did just distract myself again by looking at my CD collection. So I should probably stop doing that. I mean, I'm looking at Straight Outta Compton right now, and I can't wait to put that on later. Sorry. Going back to the infamous Mobb Deep. I get so distracted by talking about music because I've just got music all around me. Infamous Mobb Deep, number 2, fantastic. Once again, same goes as for the Wu-Tang Clan. For Mobb Deep to be number 2 on this list and to beat out Wu-Tang Clan, the Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac. Just think about that in your head for a couple of minutes. I'm going to let that sink in for a sec. While I stare at XXXTentacion's sort of like weird portrait that I've got, this dope ass portrait that I got for Christmas. I'm gonna let that sink in while I'm just reflecting on that picture. Mobb Deep are like a staple of the 90s hip hop scene, but I had no idea how much love there was out for this. The infamous Survival of the Fittest, by the way, just saying, that is my favorite song on that album. 100% that is my favorite song on that album. For me, it's either that or Shook Ones Part 2. And there's a lot of people out there that go, oh, you're just mentioning the most popular songs by Mobb Deep. And sometimes, yeah, people do just mention the top, the most popular songs by Mobb Deep because they don't know much about them. I can tell you right now that is not the case with me. Sometimes it's okay to name the most popular songs by an artist, guys. And do you know why that's okay sometimes? Because sometimes there's a reason why they're the most popular songs by the artist. Because they're the best. You can't turn around to me and go, Survival of the Fittest? Fuck off, that's not your favourite Mobb Deep song. I'm sorry. Are you seriously arguing me that anthem, that hip-hop anthem, isn't one of the best songs of the 90s? Same with Shook Ones. I mean, there's a lot of love for Shook Ones in my heart as well, but Survival of the Fittest, that fucking bass and that, that... I don't even know what that synthesizer sound is, so I'm just going to do an impression of it. Do you know, in the background in the song where it goes, bow, 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 whatever that is. And then you've got the bass and, the heavy drum in the background while that's going on. Oh, there's a war going on outside. That is an amazing song. Don't at me. But, guys, Mobb Deep aside, number 1. And let me just say, this was number 1 by a long, long way. Without even looking at my notes. I believe the Infamous got 12 votes. I think it was 12. this number one compared to like the rest of this list was a long way out. This was like Michael Phelps swimming against, I don't know, me. I didn't know another famous swimmer. This is like Michael Phelps racing me. So Mobb Deep got 12. Number one got 16 votes. 16 votes, guys. And very comfortably at number one is Illmatic by Nas. And am I surprised that this is number one? Yes. Do I know why it's number one? Yes. Is it one of the best hip-hop albums of all time? Yes. So I'm a bit of like halfway with this album. Like, I'm surprised it's number one because, as I say, I already told you what I thought was going to be number one and number two. I was dead wrong. Apparently I don't know you guys I don't know you guys as much as I thought I did. That makes me feel heartbroken. Maybe I should start going back to 2 weeks so I can get to know you guys better. But Illmatic at number one. Nas's debut album, absolutely fantastic. The song that, what can I say about Illmatic that thousands of people, Nas himself, have not said? It's one of the most important albums of all time, and I don't want to talk about it too much because spoiler alert, I was planning to do an intro video on this in the next couple of weeks, so I don't want to go in too much about this album. So thanks guys for making this difficult for me. I've got loads of notes on this for the video in a couple of weeks, so I don't want to go over the content twice. But oh god, what an album! And oh god, I'm lost for words. He's so good. This is so good of an album. Like, think about the legacy that this album has got. Like, it's got like a 20th anniversary edition of it. It's got like a platinum edition of it. It's got an everything edition of it. It's got Hi, I'm Nas, and remember the album that I made 20 years ago, and it was really good. And I haven't really made anything as good apart from the album that Reese is about to mention on his top 10 edition. So congratulations, guys. There is your top 5. There is your top 5 hip-hop albums of the 90s. Am I rambling on a little bit? Yes. Why? Because I'm excited. I love talking about music, and I love getting people's opinions, and this for me is the best way to get people's opinions. Just because when you ask people not just to send you the top 5 albums, because that's easy. That's easy just to say, yeah, there's this and this and this. The way you get a proper answer out of a person is, but put it in order for me. And they're like, what? And they're like, yeah, put it from 5 to 1. I asked for a top 5, but put it 5 to 1. I want to see what you're willing to sacrifice. And they're like, oh god, that is so hard. And I'm like, yeah, go away and think about it for a minute. And they're like, you're a bastard. I'm like, I know. But just the amount of talent that I saw, like that haven't been mentioned on this list, is I could make another list out of it. And some of the albums that are not mentioned on this list are mentioned on my top 10 of all time. I do want to say, and I mentioned this to a couple of people after they sent me the list, because it was locked in then. They're not allowed to change it. There was a few albums that I was very surprised didn't come up very much on this list. Mainly because I think people forget that they were released in the 90s. And I think a lot of people just assume that they weren't released in the 90s. Just because, the timelines and the names. And we're going to get into that on my list. Just because, I did my research and I know this shit. I have to, I suppose. I talk about music every week. Imagine if it came out here and I was like, do you hear that new Marvin Gaye album that came out last week? Yeah, I just released it. Imagine if I came out saying that shit. No, that was a really exaggerated example, but you understand what I'm saying. 1 second, I need to take a quick drink break, guys. Like, my voice is so fucking cracked at the minute. I don't know if you can hear it. I don't know if it's like picking up on the mic, but it's really pissing me off. So give me 1 second. It's gonna be a bit of dead air for a sec while I just down some drinks. Microphone checker 1 2. Don't Don't call it a comeback. Just going over some, like, vocal cues and shit. Whatever. I don't know. I'm chatting loads of shit. I'm chatting so much shit. I feel like this is like more of like a relaxed episode, guys. Because usually I'm bringing you to the news and all that sort of stuff. But the only thing to talk about lately is the news I don't want to talk about. Just because, like, it's depressing as shit. Like, I don't want to talk about the CV every single week. And that's the only thing to talk about. So we're not going to do that. But I'm trying to make it fun for you. I brought you some lists last week and the week before. Bring you some top 10 lists this week. Next week I'm thinking of doing another top 10, but we'll move to either the 80s or the 90s. I'll see how I'm feeling. Or maybe I'll tell more stories. Or maybe I'll just disappear forever. No, I won't do that last one, because I like doing this. But, yeah, it's a bit more relaxed episode. It's not as structured as usual episodes, because it doesn't really suit my vibe at the minute. I'm just trying to, like, relax and, just try to put together some nice videos for you guys. I'm gonna get into my top 10 now. But there's a few songs I do want to mention. And I keep saying songs. See what I mean? This is how laid back I am. I can't even say the word album. I've got a few albums that I do want to mention that are not in my top 10. Some of them just because I thought it was cheating, and some others it didn't make the list. Sorry, my bad. One of the honorable mentions is just Nate Dogg's album that he released and Warren G's album. Basically, they've got like the same name, G-Funk Stories and G-Funk Era. Absolutely fantastic albums. Obviously Nate Dogg's was called G-Funk Stories, like part 1 and 2 or something. That was released in like 98, and then you had Warren G's album Regulate that was released also in the 90s, which was G-Funk Era. Really good album. That's got the song Regulate on it, believe it or not. So, fair play to them. I want to give a shout out to Big L. And a lot of you guys, I bet you weren't expecting me to say Big L. Do you know what? I had it wrote down as well. Like, what is the album called? Is it called like Poor? It's like called... Problems of the Poor and Dangerous. So, like, it just escaped my brain then. Yeah, like, Problems of the Poor and Dangerous. Big L, big shout out to Big L. He only released one album while he was alive. Then he was sadly gunned down later on. He was only 24 years old. But shout out to Big L. What other albums did I mention that weren't on my top 10? Let's have a look. I'm just looking at my top 10, and I was literally writing this like until about 20 minutes ago, and I'm still a bit sketchy on which ones I do what I put in there and which ones I don't what I put in there. Let me just give it like one more. I'm not going to change it just because I've locked it in now. I'm going to give myself the same rules as I gave everyone else, but I'm looking at them thinking, oh no, I should have put this at number blah 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 and this at number blah blah blah. But I promise you guys, I'm not going to change it. I ain't got a pen in my hand or anything, so shut the fuck up. Oh god, honorable mentions. I'm so sad not to put these in. Not to put these in my top 10. Like, America's Most Wanted is also not in my top 10, and oh god, what an album that is. The Predator, also by Ice Cube, another really great album that isn't in my top 10. Eternal E, the Easy Memorial album. I was gonna put them out. That is an album that I definitely wanted to put in my top 10, but I feel like it was cheating. One of the reasons why I thought it was cheating is because it's a compilation album, and the second reason is because, I mean, most of the songs that came out on that album were from the 80s, so I thought it was cheating. I was gonna put It's On, the EP by Eazy, but as I say, it's an EP, not an album. I mean, it's 8 songs, but it's just about an album, but only just about it. I think it's like 7 songs or more is an album. But I thought compared to the others that have like 16, 20, I thought maybe It's On shouldn't really go on that list. But I'm just letting you know that he's my favourite rapper of all time, and it hurts me not to put it on this list for you guys. I'm just saying, the stuff that I'm sacrificing for you lot, you better appreciate it, okay? But, whatever. Shut the fuck up, Reese. Number 10. Dog Food by The Dog Pound. This album is amazing. It doesn't get enough love as it should. It was one of the only albums that the Dog Pound released. It was released in 1995. It was the only album that Dog Pound released while they were on death row. If memory serves me correctly, I believe I was talking about this a couple of weeks ago in Hip Hop Stories when I was talking about Corrupt. He was talking about how Lady of Rage was supposed to release the album first, and he went up to Shug and said, we're ready. If she's not, we want to release the album. And Shug was like, okay, cool. So Dog Food, really good album. And by the way, every single album that is on my list, go and listen to it. Go listen to it right now. That is my command to you as a CTR community on your official isolation station. Go and listen to every single album that I'm gonna mention. Because, oh God, they weren't mentioned enough on your list. I'm just going to say it. I'm a bit mad with you guys. I'm proud of you guys at the same time. But I'm a bit mad that Dog Food wasn't mentioned on any of you guys' list. Pretty disappointing. It's only one of the best collaboration albums of all time. Because Corrupt and Snoop Dogg and Nate Dogg and Warren G are on there and all that sort of shit. But, I forgive you. I forgive you. Go and listen to it. You might develop a love for it that I've got, develop feelings for the album. Am I going too far? Probably. Yeah. Number 9, the infamous Mobb Deep. This is also on my top 10. Number 9, you guys might be surprised that it's only at number 9. But, screw you guys. It's my list, not your list. You've had your time in the sun, okay? But yeah, it's on my top 10. Absolutely amazing album. I'm not going to talk about it much more because we literally just talked about it on the top 5 list. Number 8, Death Certificate by Ice Cube. Yes, it is on my list. Number 8, this album is amazing. Really, really good. Ice Cube is so underrated in my opinion. Really underrated. A lot of people don't mention him when you go like, who's your favorite of all time? And they mention Tupac, Biggie, Snoop Dogg, Dre, blah, blah, blah. No one mentions Ice Cube. The guy's one of the best lyricists of all time. He's one of the best songwriters of all time. And in my opinion, he's one of the best people that you can take an example of someone who went from a group and then managed to have a really, really successful solo career. There's not a lot of people that you can say that. I mean, you can say that about pretty much every single member of NWA, but, that's not the point. That's not the point that I'm trying to make here, guys. Think about Destiny's Child. Destiny's Child reads, whoa, that is a switch of genres. I know, but think about that. Destiny's Child, you had Beyonce, and can you name the other members of Destiny's Child? Maybe you can name Kelly Rowland, but can you name me 6 great Kelly Rowland songs, yeah? And if you can, message me them, and if you can tell me hand on heart that they are amazing songs and you listen to them on a quite regular basis, I will come on here next week and say I was wrong. But yeah, Ice Cube, going back to the point before I trail off again, Ice Cube, one of the best people to have left the group and then just made a maybe even a bigger successful career after NWA. Amazing. Go and listen to Death Certificate. So good. It's got no Vaseline on there for starters, which is just... we're going to be talking about this on a later episode, by the way, guys. Just a little bit of a spoiler. Best diss tracks of all time. Best diss tracks of all time. Send me yours if you're listening to this. Send me yours. But yeah, Death Certificate. Go listen to it. Absolutely fantastic. Number 7, Illmatic, Nas. Number 7, Reese. What? What do you mean number 7? It was number 1 in the community list. Yeah, I know it was, okay? God, it's in my list. Yeah, it's number 7, right? You know why it's number 7? And this is my honesty. I don't think it's Nas's best album. Throwing it out there. Is that controversial? Maybe. I don't think it's Nas's best album. Don't get me wrong. I'm recognising it as one of the most important albums in hip-hop history. I will acknowledge that if it wasn't for this album, maybe Nas wouldn't have been as big on the map as he was. But do you know why it's not my favourite Illmatic album by Nas? Because there's another one coming up later on in my list that is my favourite. I think and this is controversial once again. I've been saying this a lot because I feel like I'm going to like annoy a couple of people with my opinions on this podcast. It's controversial. I think people like get confused with some songs that are on Illmatic that are on a different album that I'm about to talk about. I also think, and this goes with the same because like, you know, Tupac and Biggie, I also believe that people think Illmatic is as good as it is based off of reputation. And what I mean by that is do you know when people talk about something enough, and say it's great enough, then people then also start to hype it up, and it goes more off name basis and quality. Not to say that it's not a really great album. It is a great album. It's on my list, as I say. It is. But I think there's another album by Nas that's far better. And the way I decided that, and I'm not just, blowing smoke out my arse, I listened to Illmatic and this other album that I'm talking about, back to back. Back to back. And we're talking a nearly 2-hour process, that, guys. And I think the other album was better. Not by a long margin. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're both amazing. But I think this album wasn't as good as the other one that I'm going to mention in a minute. And we'll get to it, so be patient, yeah? Coming in at number 6 is the Slim Shady LP, Eminem. I didn't see this mentioned enough on people's lists, and I think the reason why is because you guys forgot it was released in the 90s. It was only just released in the 90s, I'll give you that. 1999. Eminem released this way back in 99. This was one of the first albums released on Aftermath Entertainment, mixed with Interscope, Dr Dre's record label after he left Death Row. So good. If I want to talk about a song that's on this that I really love, I'd be here for a while. But Role Model is probably my favourite album on the song, just because I love the backbeat to it. And I just think it just shows exactly the difference between Eminem and Slim Shady, because this album is brutal. And then, a year later, like, the Marshall Mathers came out, which is also a great album, but it's like has a totally different vibe to it. But this for me is fantastic. It's got Guilty Conscience on there. It's got Brain Damaged on there. It's got, I can't remember the name of the song. Do you know the song where he's rapping to Haley and they're driving to the river and they're about to put Kim in the river? That song is so well put together. Absolutely fantastic. Is it creepy a bit? Yeah, of course it is. But it's part of Eminem's charm, or should I say it's a part of Slim Shady's charm. Fantastic song, really good. So many good songs on this album. Go and listen to it again. Go listen. By the way, I'm not saying it wasn't mentioned at all on people's lists. I saw it got mentioned twice. So shout out to one of the people I do want to give a shout out to for mentioning it was Gio. Shout out to Gio for mentioning Slim Shady LP. Well done, girl. You remembered that it was released in the 90s. I am proud. I want to talk about number 5. And we're getting to number 5 now. And this is the album that I was talking about. It Was Written. Nas. Guys, go and listen to It Was Written. Absolutely fantastic album. So good. Oh, God. I can't express how much I love this album. I Gave You Power is probably my favourite song on the album. The album where he literally raps from the perspective of a gun. Like, absolutely fantastic. You've got If I Ruled the World on there with Lauryn Hill. And any feature with Lauryn Hill is a GOAT song because Lauryn Hill's amazing. You've got The Message on there. And to any younger fans that are listening to this, The Message, the backbeat of it, you may recognise it because it was sampled years and years later by Juice WRLD for Lucid Dreams. And a lot of people go, I know where that, I've heard of that beat before. It's so, oh God, where have I heard it from? And I go, it's from here. You've got Shootouts on this album, absolutely fantastic. So good. Oh, guys, this album is so good. It Was Written. It does not get enough love. Go and listen to It Was Written. And there is a reason why it's in my top 5. It had to fight to get into my top 5. It had to actually fight with Illmatic and the Slim Shady LP to get into my top 5. But I think I made the right decision because it's such a good album. Coming in at number 4, and I'm not going to talk about this for very long because I literally did an entire episode on it. In fact, it was the very first episode of the intro, so you guys know what I'm going to talk about. Number 4 is Doggy Style, Snoop Dogg. Well-deserved place in my top 5. What else can I say about Doggy Style that I haven't said already on the fucking intro video? That was nearly an hour long. Go and listen to that video. Go and listen to this album. And you'll understand why it's number 4 in my list. That is all I'm going to say about this. Well, I move on to number 3. And this is another album that I don't really want to talk about that much. Because, spoiler alert, like I was speaking about a couple of lists, not lists, should I say? A couple of choices ago with Illmatic. I'm going to do an intro video on this in a couple of weeks, and I feel like you guys are really going to love the content that I'm going to put in there. I've got a few notes for it already, so I'm not going to mention it a load. I'm like, by the way, guys, after number 3, like 3, 2, 1, we're getting into God tier albums here for me. Like, God tier albums. You can't get any better than these. Spoiler alert, 2 of my favourite albums of all time are in this list. And we're going to get it, and obviously they're going to be number 2 and number 1 because, you know, I couldn't exactly put anything else in front of them, could I? Number 3 is The Chronic by Dr Dre. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. The amount of features that are on this album. By the way, shout out to Spotify for finally putting this on fucking Spotify. I mean, I don't know how it's taken this long to get it on Spotify, but finally they released it. I think it was this week. Like, Jesus Christ, Spotify. Get with the fucking times. It's probably the best, or maybe it's the best, album by Dr. Dre. Go and listen to this. So many features. Snoop Dogg's on it. Daz Dillinger's on it. Obviously, Dre's on it, surprisingly enough. RBX, should I say, he's on it. They appeared in a lot of Death Row songs. Go and listen to this. You got Fuck With Dre Day on there. That's the first song that's on there. That diss track to Eazy-E, fantastic. And then, you know, the whole story without Eazy-E rebuttal with real motherfucking G's. But on this album, you've got Let Me Ride, fantastic. You've got Nothing But a G Thing, that's on here. You've got These Nuts, absolutely fantastic song. Go and listen to that. But yeah, moving on to number 2. And this might be surprising for people that don't know me. Because, and I'll tell you what, I did not see this on any other list apart from my boy Andre's list. So shout out to Andre for putting this on his list. He knows about music, so it doesn't surprise me that it was high on his list as well. The Score, Fugees. This is my 3rd favourite album of all time. It does not get enough love. In terms, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's, you know, it's a God tier album in the hip hop community. But as I can see with you guys, and as I can see with like not other people, this is not mentioned enough as a fantastic album. Fugees, guys. Pras, Wyclef Jean, Lauryn Hill. Oh God, just thinking about this album makes me want to go and listen to it. I can hear the beats in my head. I can hear Lauryn Hill singing in my head. I can hear Wyclef and Lauryn Hill and Pras coming in with the fire in my head right now. I'm gonna go listen to this. You may have seen me sharing a couple of songs off this album recently. Oh God, it's such a good album. Such a good album. And you know what I'm gonna talk about on an intro episode, but I'm gonna go into a little bit of it. The amount of songs that are on this album: Killing Me Softly, amazing tune. Family Business, absolute tune. Fuji La, absolute tune. Zealots, absolute tune. Oh God, like and the skits that are on this episode as well, they're just talking in like a cafe or something. It's so good. It's so good. Go and listen to this album. It is so fucking good, guys. Like 100%. If I was to recommend any album on this list that I guarantee a lot of people haven't shown enough love for it, or I guarantee a lot of people haven't, you know, listened to it enough, or maybe haven't listened to it at all, this would be the album for me. Go and listen to The Score by Fugees. It is one of the greatest albums ever made. It is one of the greatest hip-hop albums ever made. It features some of the greatest talent in hip-hop. Lauryn Hill. Do I need to say more about Lauryn Hill? Wyclef Jean, one of the most underrated freestylers, one of the most underrated rappers of all time. Pras, amazing in his own right. Not to take anything away from Pras, but Wyclef and Lauryn Hill like really steal the show in this album. go and listen to it. Go and listen to it. But my number one, and this is also my favorite album of all time, so if anyone knows me, you knows what it's going to be. I can't say enough about this album, and I can't say enough about the impact that it's had on me personally. This is one of the albums that really got me into hip hop. Really got me into it. This is one of the albums that really got me loving West Coast hip hop. I love me East Coast hip hop, like shout out the boys from New York, but West Coast rap is where it's at. I'm talking, of course, about 2001 by Dr. Dre. And I can't just say 2001 by Dr. Dre, because the amount of features that are on this album is absolutely fucking ridiculous. You've got Snoop Dogg, you've got Eminem, you've got Nate Dogg, you've got Exhibit, you've got Mary J. Blige, you've got Hitman, who, in my opinion, is one of the biggest missed opportunities in hip-hop history. And that, I'm not understating that. On this album, he's absolutely fucking fantastic. But, like, this album, guys, is absolutely amazing. Everything about this album is amazing. If I was to rank it, and believe me, I'm going to put a list up on my Facebook, on the group, after this video. I'm going to rank every single album in terms of, like, you know, a star rating. This would be a 10. This would be a 10. This is everything a hip-hop album should be. It's got iconic beats. And that's not surprising coming from, you know, Dr. Dre. It's got iconic videos to the songs. It's got some of the best features you will ever... I forgot to mention the next episode. The next episode is on this album, by the way. You know that... Smoke weed every day. That song. Some of the best features in album history. Some of the best songs in hip-hop history are on this. The amount of songs that are on this album that went on to be single hits, that went on to leave their own legacy in hip-hop. The amount of by the way, the features, do we need to say more about some of these features that have left their own legacy? The impact that this album has had, and we talk about God tier albums. This is, let's compare hip-hop albums to Greek gods. This would be Zeus, like the leader of the gods. This is a fantastic album, guys. If you have never ever heard this album, what are you doing here? Why are you listening to my stupid voice talk about this album? Still DRE. The next episode. Fuck You. Forgot About Dre. The Watcher. The Message. Oh, I can't, Lightspeed. I'll tell you what I'll do. If you give me a second while I'm just, like, you know, creaming over this album, I'm going to open my phone. I'm going to turn my phone back on. I'm going to read out the track list for you on this album. It's absolutely fantastic. As you guys may know, the Up in Smoke tour was mainly put together because of this album. Just because the amount of popularity and the amount of people that featured on this album. I'll put it to this way. Exhibit had an opportunity to put, on the Up in Smoke tour, had an opportunity to have his own set. And this is what Dre said to him. They said, you can either have your own set, or you could, you could go on stage with Dre and do What's the Difference? And he said, I'll do that instead. I mean, I can't blame him, because number one, it's an absolute tune. And number two, like, how many people saw him on stage with Dre and probably got him, the reputation that he's got today. I'm just bringing this album up now. My phone's in on quicker than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to have to be rambling for a lot longer than that. Starts off with the intro. You know, do you remember the old THX things that went that really loud thing that you did before you was going to watch a film? It starts out with that, and then there's like a little skit where, like, this lowrider's like just bouncing. But going to the song, you've got The Watcher, a fucking amazing tune featuring who have we got? Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong song. Yeah, you've got The Watcher, and then you've got Fuck You, who has got great features on it. That's what I was talking about. You've got obviously Dre, you've got Devin, you've got Snoop Dogg on that song. You've got Still DRE with Snoop Dogg. After that, you have got Big Egos with Dr. Dre featuring Hitman. God, you've got Explosive. That is an absolute tune. Dr. Dre, Hitman, 6'2", Nate Dogg, Corrupt. Absolute tune. That is probably that might be my favourite song on the album, that Explosive. Well, you've got What's the Difference, as I say, with Eminem and Exhibit. You've got... What else have you got? You've got Lightspeed, absolute tune. That is with Hitman. You have got Forgot About Dre. That's with Eminem, obviously. You've got The Next Episode. You've got Let's Get High, absolute tune. You've got Bitch N-Words, I'm not going to say it. That's an absolute tune. Oh, God, you got The Car Bomb, which is the Murder Inc. song with Hitman and Miss Rock. Oh, God, do we need to say more? I mean, like, the amount of songs that I've mentioned already, guys, like, would make for a great song, a great album anyway. You got Education, you've got some LA, N-Words, I'm not going to say that again. You've got that weird skit where it was like pause for porno, why can't I say that word? Which is the weirdest skit, I think, in an album that I've ever heard, and I skip it every single time because it's awkward as fuck when you've got on a stereo and all of a sudden sex comes on the stereo. It's weird. Housewife, really good tune with Hitman and Corrupt. You've got Act Right with Hitman again. You have got Bang Bang, absolute, really, oh God, just the amount of hits. You got, Bang Bang, and then you got The Message, which is I believe it's a memorial sort of song for his brother that passed away while he was in NWA, Tyree. But yeah, that's my number one, guys. That's my number one. And I don't know when I'm going to do an intro episode on 2001, but I'll do it when I feel like I'm ready, if you know what I mean. Just because I want to do the album justice, and I want to do the album. I want to give it what it deserves in terms of, the effort and, the time and, the care. It's such, oh God, I'm talking too much about the album. Go and listen to it if you've never heard it. And even if you have heard it, go listen to it again. Because that is the type of album, and I've done it before, where I can listen to it all the way through and then start it all over again. It's fantastic. Absolutely fan-fucking-tastic. But, yeah. As I say, guys, just listen to every album that I've just mentioned on the list. If you like this video, and this is the outro, by the way, because I'm so tired now. I've been talking for ages. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel, give it a like. Go follow us on Facebook at Charttopper Radio. On Instagram, it's the same name, Charttopper Radio. Request a follow on Facebook. I will set you to the group. You don't need to send me a request on Instagram. You just follow that goddamn thing. As I say, share this video if you've enjoyed it. If you like the top 5 thing that I'm doing, I'm probably going to be doing it next week. So if you're listening to it now, get ready to send me your lists on. Ooh, let's make a decision right now. Let's do noughties. Let's do top 5 hip hop noughties albums. I think that's a great idea, if I do say so myself. But yeah, thank you so much for the support, guys. It's been a really hard week. As I said, I don't want to go too much into it, but doing this sort of content really takes your mind off it, and it really helps deal. So thanks for that. Thanks very much, guys. Take care. Peace.